Next up, I'm going to talk about organising libraries and sounds for workflow. I've had people turn up in my studio and I've looked at their screen on their laptop, on their Mac, and I've literally seen folder of unnamed, undated, untraceable files. So over the years, worked with various people and have managed to find a system that works well for me. And so I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how I do that and how that helps me stay organised. Because if you're working on 5 projects in a day, then going back in 2 weeks' time, let alone 2 months or maybe even 2 years' time, could be incredibly difficult. So first off, I'll start with how I do my sound. So let's just open a serum. So as you can see, that is sub, bass, ed, medium length. Okay, and what is really important for me is when I make a sound, I save it down, and I save it down quickly. So here, I'll just go save preset, and there are various different ways. Lots of my things are organised in bass, or we'll say ed, because at the front, so you can see Ed Reese here. So let me just, oh, no, that's not, I'm saving that. So let's just save that as sub bass, ed mid length. Let's call it 2. So I know now if I want to change that, if I want to change that, I know that I can always go back to that last sound, the first sound that I had, without it affecting, without, you know, often I'll go and maybe do some sounds, some sound modification, and it won't be quite how I wanted it, so I want to go back to the original one. So if I'm really happy with the sounds, I can make a duplicate name, and that's a good way of getting started and addressing that. So you'll see if I come into my mixer sections here. So if I go load FX chain preset. So Ed's house bass, Diplo, Big Z, R bass EQ. So this is something that I found from another tutorial I did. So let's load that up. And that's come up with the settings that I want. And I can very quickly, easily go into that. So I had a search because it had dip there, but if you can see, I've got my glue master chain, lots of mastering, so maybe some New York compression, UAD. Sometimes I'll be somewhere where I can't use my UAD, can't plug it in, I might be on a train, so I'll put in as much information as I possibly can, so when I do a search, I do UAD, that's going to give me all the things that I need. And as I said, I put ed in that, normally in that somewhere, so that I can just differentiate whether I've made it or whether it's a preset that comes with my DAW. So depending on how you manage your samples as well, most DAWs and sample packs have, so for instance, if I go splice, I've got so many filters that I can help find what I'm looking for, you know, keys, BPMs, drum, snare, and then also I've got here, which I typed in earlier, snare. Maybe I'll go clap. That will just give me a list of loads of different claps. Now if, again, obviously I'm using claps all the time, but even if I haven't, with Splice, it's giving me options. You know, I haven't actually paid for this particular clap. Use my credit. Okay, here we go. So even if I didn't have any claps or a particular, maybe it's a cowbell or something, this is even giving me options to maybe find one that could be useful. You know, without even actually going into the Splicer app. So that can be really quick. If I'm just looking for a hi-hat or something, I can type that in and it will even help give me some results. By using Cubase, I have what's called a media bay. And again, so I can tell it what folders. So this one at the moment, I was using a big Z clap. And that way I can go and listen to some of the claps that I'm using. And again, I can search my media bay. I can ask where it's searching. So here, for instance, in this drums, this pack actually did it for me. But I've got build-ups, claps, hi-hats, cymbals, and I can use my own. I've got, on my actual desktop, I've got Ed's Sample Libraries 2021, where I'm putting some of the samples that I'm doing. I've got two-step drums. Here I've got some F9 stuff. I've got some house drums, Sabre sounds. And I've got, you know, even further to that, I've got acapellas and things that might just help me find something quickly if I need it. I tend to try, and now what I'm doing in terms of backing up my computer, which is also very important. I know so many people that lost so much vital information from not backing up, but I will do it by year. So this year is a new fresh start. I want to use some fresh sounds. I could go back into last year's if I want to, but I find it always nice to move with the times and yeah, keep downloading new sample packs. Also putting back into the scene. There's such amazing content there, and obviously Splice also have ways that you can navigate through their system too. I'm going to show you quickly a way which is not particularly linked to sounds, but a real quick way of organising your projects. I'm just going to go in. So I'm going to go into my folder. Let's go production. So here you will see 2021 Cubase 10.5. In here, I've got a folder, January 2021. So I'm just working on some bits here. So I know anything that I've done in January 2021 is probably going to be in that folder. So let's just to get the idea of it. Now I know this sounds basic, but honestly, I've seen so many computers turn up with just nothing, just a desktop full of files, samples, tracks, projects. Now, in a year's time, your memory's probably not going to remember it in January, and that's why you've got the search function. But, you know, you're going to know roughly, hopefully, that maybe you did it towards the start of the year, and, you know, or what year you did it in. You know, I've been going for 20, 25 plus years making music, and I've got hard drives, old systems, and you know, people have asked me to go back to files from the 2000s, and I've got to try and, you know, obviously I've got different computers, but I can hopefully, by using this system, go and find that information. And yeah, like obviously I'm using Cubase, and that's the main DAW I use, but I do use Ableton occasionally, and I've obviously used Logic and various other things. So I might have an Ableton file also, which is Ableton 2021, where, yeah, similar. Within each, so here, I've actually got the audio that I used for that particular track, all locked in. And I can export that or bring that to another project if I knew that was really useful.